Welcome back to the Miller Brothers podcast. My name is Jordan. That's my brother Eli on the other side of the screen. Welcome to episode 4. Eli, anything you want to say to the people?
Nah, man, let's get it going.
All right, episode 4. It's probably going to be a college football heavy episode. Not much else going on in the world. Baseball is pretty much still the same. The Olympics are over. Really, NFL preseason, no one cares. It's just giving the rookies a chance to play, see what they have for backups, blah, blah, blah. No one cares. So anyway, it's probably going to be a college football heavy episode. Top 20, the AP Top 25 came out this week. Eli, did you get to see any of it?
I mean, you see the top 10, it's SEC heavy. The whole top 25 is really, but you look at those top few teams, those will be the teams that are the favorites to win their conferences. Everybody probably will expect those top 5 to really interchange during the year, but basically be in the title contention at the end of the year. So, yeah.
Not wrong. We're going to go through it in its entirety for the first time together. I intentionally did not look at it this week in anticipation for this. So top 6, top 5, I should say, are pretty expected. Not much of a change there. So we got number 1, we got Georgia. Interesting. They play Clemson first week.
Yeah, I saw some things on Twitter. A lot of people are expecting Georgia to blow Clemson out. I don't know that they'll blow them out, but I could see Georgia winning by a couple of scores. Clemson's a top 2 favorite, 3 favorite to win the ACC, but everybody's just expecting Georgia to be this powerhouse. I'd like to see Georgia without Brock Bowers personally. I'd like to see if Carson Beck plays better. He's a Heisman favorite, but at this moment in time, I think Clemson can give them a run for their money. But there are a lot of people that are saying that Georgia will blow them out of the water.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of that as well. Something interesting I saw on Twitter this week, or X, Carson Beck has signed an NIL deal with a private jet company.
Yeah, I saw
What
that.
in the world? Anyway, number 2, Ohio State. They've got Akron. Should be a win. Any thoughts on Ohio State?
I've talked about them in the first episode. This is a championship roster. If Ryan Day doesn't do what he needs to do, he could be gone. And so Ohio State, I believe, will be in the top 4. We'll get into that a little bit later, but Ohio State, big-time championship favorites this year. So if they don't get it done, it'll be a long off season for Ryan Day.
Yeah, it's make or break time for Ryan Day, and he's got an offensive coordinator. What's his one that went out there?
Chip
One
Kelly.
of the Kellys. Chip Kelly, that's what it was. All right, number 3, Oregon versus Idaho, week 1. Oregon is at number 3. No surprise there. Oregon, really not. I don't think there's going to be much of a drop off in the quarterback play. I think Dylan Gabriel was able to do a lot of the same things Bo Nix was, and I don't think they lost a lot anywhere else. They may have lost a couple of receivers here or there, but not really much. Your thoughts on Oregon?
It'll be a dogfight in the Big Ten between Ohio State and Oregon. It'll be a battle to the death to see who wins that conference between those two teams.
Next 3 are SEC. Texas at number 4. A lot of people think they're going to win the SEC. We'll see how it plays out. But thoughts on Texas?
Playoff team, like we talked about when I said it as we opened. Those top 5, 6 teams are going to interchange the whole year. I don't see much movement from them. Texas is going to be just as good, if not better. They brought in Isaiah Bond in that receiver. But see, I will point this out. They brought in, I believe, 3 new receivers. And your offense doesn't just go out there on the field and just score a bunch of points when half your guys are new, especially of that much importance. So it'll be interesting to see Texas the first couple of weeks of the season trying to get comfortable. I think they'll be really good. I think Quinn, he's a Heisman favorite as well. I think they'll be good, but it'll be interesting to see those first couple of weeks how that new offense kind of gels together. Because Sarkisian has a very complex and difficult offense. So when all of your skill players are new, it has a chance to be a little nasty and disoriented especially at the beginning. So it'll be interesting to see. But I think they'll be right there vying for a championship spot at the end of the year.
Number 5, Alabama. Well, we kind of already went into depth about Alabama. We'll see. We'll see what Kalen DeBoer does the first 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, they got Western Kentucky first game, so we'll get a small look at them. But Western Kentucky, any thoughts on Alabama before we move on to
I mean,
the
top. They'll be the top 3 team in the SEC at the end of the year, probably in the playoffs. So I'm high on Alabama. We'll see how it turns out for them.
number 6, Ole Miss. Ole Miss is up. They're high. They're high. A lot of people are high on Ole Miss. A lot of people think Ole Miss is going to be a contender. We'll see what the defense looks like. We know the offense is going to be pretty good. They're bringing back Jackson Dart for his 15th year.
Yeah.
So we'll see what the defense looks like.
They brought in a bunch of studs on defense. Pete Gold's not a great defensive coordinator. Hopefully they have figured something out. He's got some help or something. But they brought in the guys to play defense. The question is, can they put them in the position to make the plays? But if their defense is good enough, that schedule's favorable. They have a couple of tough games in there, but that schedule's favorable for them to win 10 or 11 games.
Absolutely. Number 7, Notre Dame. They got Texas A&M first week.
Well, I'm never high on Notre Dame just because everybody always is and they never do anything. So they'll probably A&M's got a new coach in Mike Elko. Anything can happen, but I like A&M to win that game week 1 in the first to open up the Mike Elko era.
I think I'm with you. Another team that everybody's high on, Penn State. Penn State is at number 8. They play West Virginia first week. Everybody's thinking West Virginia is going to be that sneaky team out of the Big 12 to make a big dent in the playoff picture. What do you think?
They could, make some people talk, but they'll win 8 or 9 games. Neil Brown's trying to save his job. I think he's a really good coach, so he'll try to save his job. They'll win. They'll play for him, win some games. Hopefully they beat Penn State. I'm not a big Penn State guy myself. I think they're kind of like Notre Dame. They'll finish. They'll get to go play in, well, with the 12-team playoff. It won't be a very big bowl game, but they'll play in a nice bowl game at the end of the year. They'll win 9, 10 games, maybe. I don't know that they'll win 10.
Number 9,
Who?
Michigan.
I'm not high on Michigan. I think they'll be good. I just don't think that they're gonna take the world by storm this year in Sherrone Moore's first year. So I don't
Yeah,
see much.
they lost. They also lost a lot. So I'd be
Yeah, I mean
surprised
Donovan Edwards
if
is
they
back.
fall out of the. Go ahead.
Donovan Edwards is back, so that's always a plus. He'll be one of the best players in college football. But other than that, I don't really know how well they'll do.
Florida State, number 10. Georgia Tech,
Yeah.
week 1 in Ireland.
ACC favorite. Let's talk about that game for a little bit. What you think? That's the first week, week 0.
Yeah, Georgia Tech hasn't been good since the 2000s, the early 2000s, since before I had memories. So I don't really know. I don't really know if they're going to give Florida State a chance or a run for their money. Florida State's got a chip on their shoulder. I know they lost quite a bit to the pros, to graduation, whatever it may be. But I think Florida State's probably going to win that game handedly.
Yeah, you got Uyunglele back there as your quarterback now. Roy Dale Williams, transfer from Alabama. Malik Benson still on the outside at receiver. So they have a really good opportunity to put up a lot of points. Their offense could be, and I know you lose Keon Coleman, but their offense really could be better than it was last year. Mike Norvell in another year at Florida State. And then you got Earl Little Jr. on the other end, on the defensive side, to lead that defense. Florida State could really be a powerhouse this year. I think they'll most likely win the ACC. 11.5-point favorite over Georgia Tech. I think they'll cover, and they'll cover by a lot. So, yeah. Not a betting person, but if I was, I would say, yeah, go ahead and bet them to cover pretty well.
Yeah, I don't blame you. All right, moving on. Top 25. Number 11, Missouri.
I like Missouri. It's a favorable schedule. I could see them winning 10 games. I think their offense is really good. They'll bring back the most prolific player in the SEC in Luther Burden. People may not agree with me, but if he was at Alabama or if he was at Georgia or Texas, he would be in the Heisman conversation. But since he's at Missouri and he really is kind of by himself per se, in that sense, like there's not a bunch of elite players around him. It's kind of tough, but they bring him back. You bring back your starting quarterback. You have a good opportunity to win 10 games. Favorable schedule, I think. So we'll see.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's tough to be the only receiver on the outside. I mean, Auburn's had a plethora of those come through over the years. You think about Seth Williams and people like that. One good receiver on the edge, but nobody else really around you to help. So when it comes crunch time, that's the one guy they're going to.
Yeah.
So might be tough. We'll see. I mean, they get Fresno State. I know they don't have Fresno State. They get Murray State. Excuse me. All right, number 12, Utah. I think Utah's the favorite in the Big 12 right now. That's the first. They're the highest ranked Big 12 team.
Yeah, I like Utah bringing back Cam Rising. They've always had athletes on the outside. Kyle Whittingham always has those kind of dudes around his quarterbacks to make plays. That's why when Rising's been hurt so much in his career, but they don't drop off a ton because their backup can come in, play the system, and get the ball to the guys that can make plays, and that's why they beat Oregon. They beat Oregon 2 years. I think it was 2 years ago that they beat USC in the Pac-12 championship, and they beat teams like Oregon, and they beat those better Pac-12 teams because it's a plug and go type thing. Your quarterback comes in and can move, but Cam Rising, obviously the better quarterback, so if he can stay healthy, they have a really good opportunity to win the Big 12 by, a lot. They could beat everybody pretty well.
Yeah, I mean Gus Malzahn's recruiting well at UCF. I always
I
want
like
to say
UCF.
UFC at
I like
UCF, and I think they're going to be in contention this year. But it's also a Gus Malzahn coach team, so when it comes time for big games, they'll probably lose. Number 13, LSU. They got USC
LSU.
first one for week
They'll,
one.
I think they'll beat the brakes off at USC. I
Yeah,
mean, new
that's
quarterback.
true.
They lose Jaden Daniels. They lose Malik Neighbors. They lose all of their better offensive guys. But I expect LSU. They're kind of under the radar. They're 13th, but nobody's really talking about them out of the SEC because the SEC has so many supposed to be elite teams this year. You look at that top 10 or whatever who all's in there, like everybody ranked from that we've talked about can make the playoff from the SEC. And so nobody's talking about LSU, so they're on the outside looking in. But if they do what they need to do, I think they could make a run. I don't think that they'll make the playoff, but they could beat some good teams. Like they've got a couple of teams coming into Death Valley this year that they could ruin their playoff chances.
I agree with you. I think LSU might sneak in there. Number 14, Clemson.
I like Clemson. I think that they'll probably it'll be them in Florida State and Miami in a vie for the ACC. We'll see how Dabo and them get done, but I'm more interested in looking if they win 8 games this year, if Dabo's done. I know he's been there a long time, but he's kind of going against the flow when it comes to the transfer portal. He's very vocal about it. Like if you're not going to play the game that everybody else is playing, you're not going to get the guys. So he's talking big about the guys that he's got now. If you don't win with them this year and you don't contend, they'll have to get rid of him if he's not going to change what he does. But if you win 8 games and you don't contend and you still don't want to play the game, you need to be fired.
Yeah, I
So
agree with you.
I
I
believe that
agree with you.
he'll either start playing. If they don't win, he'll either start playing that game or he'll just leave.
Well, they finished out the year 5-0 in their last 5 games. I
Yes.
think they came on strong and they didn't lose much from last year. I think they lost their running back, but that's about it. I think Clemson, Dabo, the years that they were in contention against Alabama every year, Dabo was preaching back of the bus mentality. And then they got to the top and everybody held them to this standard. And from my perspective, all the way out here, away from the program, from my perspective, he is only good preaching back of the bus. They don't respect you. They don't do this, da da da. But when they're up at the top, he doesn't have that Kirby Spartan mentality of we're the hunted. We're being hunted, but we're still going to hunt other people. We're going to go after other people, which has made Georgia successful over the last 10 years. But I think Dabo's only a good motivator from behind. We're gonna go get them. We're gonna do this. We're gonna prove ourselves. They don't believe in you. Only we believe in you. Let's go do this instead of saying we're here. Let's stay here. So I think they got a lot of stuff to prove. I think they got a big chip on their shoulder. I think Dabo's gonna. I'd be very surprised if they don't make it to the playoff. Number 15, Tennessee. I think Tennessee's gonna be the exact same they were last year.
About 8 or 9 games, you think?
Yeah, probably 8 or 9 games. They might squeak into the playoffs if the situation is right. I think they're going to be the exact same.
Yeah, it's kind of tough when we talk about the playoff just because multiple teams, like three, four, I mean, maybe five, I doubt five will make it just because of how the human aspect of it, they're going to be like, I don't want this many SEC teams in, you know? So Tennessee's one of those teams that's going to be outside looking in. But if Nico, and the only reason I call him Nico is because I can't say his last name. It's like 25 words smushed together, or 25 letters smushed together. I don't know how to say it. But if
Same thing.
he has the potential, like we saw him in the bowl game, he has the potential to be really, really good. But the potential, all that means is you ain't done it yet. You did it in the bowl game. Can you do it for a 12-game season? He's got Brew McCoy on the outside to help him. Brew had a terrible injury last year. He's coming back. They've got some guys in the backfield that are going to be able to run it. Heupel's offense is going to work. It just depends on how well Nico's able to run it, and that'll decide what kind of season they have. Because I think defensively they'll be on par like they usually are. I think they may be a little bit better this year, so it'll be interesting to see. But I like Tennessee. I don't know that they'll beat the teams they need to beat to get in the playoff.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think Tennessee's going to be right there on the edge. I really don't think they'll get in.
They'll be in
Number 16,
that 13 to 16 range probably by the end of the year.
very likely. Number 16, Oklahoma.
Uh, Oklahoma's got a tough schedule entering the SEC. You know, their first road game's against Auburn, and I don't know how Auburn's going to be like technically this year, but I do believe that Auburn's going to win that game based solely off of it's a welcome to the SEC moment. You're about to play in one of the tougher environments, so that's one loss already. But then they play Alabama, and I think Alabama beats them too, and that's two losses right there. And they play Texas, and I think Texas beats them. So that's three losses I'm giving to you right off the top of my head, and so I could see them being a four-loss team.
Very
So
possible.
3, 4 losses.
Very possible. Um, I don't know. Number 17, Oklahoma State.
That's a sleeper team out of the Big. I say sleeper. That's a team out of the Big 12 that they'll expect with Texas and Oklahoma gone to continue to compete because they're always right there in the middle of the pack, sometimes towards the top. So that'll be a team that everybody expects to be around the top up there with Utah. Kansas State will be in there too. I think they're right after Oklahoma State in that range. And so Oklahoma State has a chance. We'll see. I don't know too much about them. They got a really good running back. He just got arrested for a DUI. Mike Gundy was in the news for saying his punishment was going to be making him run the ball 40 times in week one. People didn't really like that he said that, but that's about all I know about Oklahoma State right
I mean, it is the truth. That's what those guys are going to do. Nick Saban made a career off of that kind of stuff. Anyway, 18, Kansas State.
now. Yeah, I like Kansas State. I think nobody's talking about them. I don't know that they'll make the playoff per se. I think the Big 12 may only get one team in the playoff this year.
Very likely.
So Um, I think that Kansas State will be at the top of the pack of the Big 12.
How do you think they get a bounce back year after last year? Because, I mean, 2 years ago they went to the playoffs and last year was a letdown, but they lost a lot of people.
Talking about
Lost
Kansas
a lot
State.
of people. Do
Kansas
what?
State didn't make the playoff a couple years ago. They played Alabama
Thought they made the playoff 2 years ago.
in the bowl game. Kansas State?
Yeah.
No.
I'm thinking TCU.
Yeah.
One of them purple teams, one of them fruity teams out in the Midwest.
Kansas State played Alabama in the bowl game, and Alabama beat the
That's right.
brakes off of them.
That's right.
That's
You're right.
when,
My
that's
bad.
when they thought they should have been in the playoff, and they didn't, and so they just went and took it out on
I thought
Kansas
for sure
State.
it was Kansas State.
No, it's TCU.
Okay. Let's see. Number 19, Miami. A lot of people high on Miami.
I like Miami. I like Miami, and that's just one of those teams that I chose. They could win 7 games and be absolutely horrible, but that's one of those teams that I'm going to hold on to, and that'll be a team that I think has a chance to make a push for the playoff.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are high on Miami, and I don't really know why.
Because they brought in Cam Ward, who's a excellent quarterback, and Damian Martinez is a really good running back. Cristobal has an offensive line. Their defense is supposed to be better, from what I read. It's supposed to be better. So I think that they could, but I just think it's a show me year for Cristobal because he's not done anything since he's been there, and they were
That,
expecting him to do what he did at Oregon at at Miami, and he hadn't done it yet. So I think this
that's
is
what
going
I
to
was
be a
about to
nudge.
say. Is this kind of stuff's been said about Miami since Cristobal? It's like second or third year. It's Miami's gonna be good. Miami's gonna be good, and then Miami just is subpar or they're average, and it's just kind of like okay, whatever. I mean, it's interesting they got them playing Florida week one.
That
With
happened a couple years ago as well.
it's just interesting to me for that big of a rivalry game to be week one, not week two or three. But I mean, more power to them. It's what it is. Number 20, Texas A&M. I
Uh,
think we already kind of talked about them a little bit because they're playing Notre Dame week one. I think you pretty much said Texas A&M going to walk the dog with
I don't
Notre
think
Dame.
they'll walk the dog. I just think they'll beat them. That'll be a one score game.
Okay. I don't know what to expect. They've got the talent. I just don't know if the coach will be able to turn around that program because Jimbo Fisher left the dumpster fire.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Number 21, Arizona. Kind of surprising.
Well, they've been pretty good the last couple years. They've been able to win games. Um, I I mean I don't have much to say about them. That's a 7-8 win team. Pac or where are they at now? They the
Big 12.
ACC, Big 12. I mean they could win some games in the Big 12, but I don't think they will. I don't. They'll be a 6-7 win team there. They could reach 8. They've got a good quarterback. So, but we'll see.
Number 22, Kansas.
I like Kansas. Jalen Daniels is their quarterback. Uh, Lance Leopold, baby, that's a name. Uh, he's a pretty good football coach. He turned that around. That program, they win more now than they ever have, I guess. I mean, they used to be the one win Kansas team, or will Kansas go 0-12? Now he's got them 7-8 wins a year. So I could see that happening again this year. Really good quarterback. I like him.
You know, normally it's March Madness when you learn about colleges you'd never heard of before, but Kansas week one and football is playing Lindenwood. I'd never heard of that. It sounds like a community college to me. So that was interesting. Number 23, USC. A lot of people are hating on USC, and I think you're not high on them either.
Not they'll win 6 games, 7 games. There's
Whew.
no more, there's no more Caleb Williams there to save you. When your defense is that bad and you don't have a Heisman quarterback, good luck.
Excuse me, you caught me between yawns. I've been yawning all day and I can't stop. I need to stop. Number 24, North Carolina State.
I like
That's
NC
interesting because
State.
a lot of people think North Carolina State should be higher, except for the media.
Well, I like NC State. I don't know how good they'll be, um, but to be honest with you, a top five ACC team is going to be ranked in the 15 plus, just because of the conference and how
Yeah,
good I think the SEC is going to be. So, but I think NC State has a chance to make a run in the ACC. I don't think they'll be better than Florida State and Miami and Clemson, but I think they're the fourth best team in the ACC.
I think they're right up there with it. I think they're better than Miami.
Grayson McCall is going to have a really good year, I think.
I think they'll be better than Miami.
Okay.
Last one, number 25, Iowa.
Iowa. Yeah.
Hey,
Iowa.
they got a new quarterback. Where'd he come from? I just forgot his name. Everybody's really high on that quarterback, and they say they're going to open up they're going to be an air raid offense.
Is it still
Uh,
Cade McNamara?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he was the quarterback last year.
Yeah, he got hurt, didn't he?
I think he came from Michigan.
Yep, that's it. McNamara. Yeah, a lot of he's. I think he got injured last year, and everybody's really high on him and saying we're going to have an air raid offense and la la la. And it's like, well, if the defense stays the same, you got a shot, but we'll see.
I mean, if they
So
could put
now
up
we've
more
kind
than
of.
20 points a game, they'll have a chance.
I think
Question is,
so.
can they score more than 20 points?
I don't know. A lot of people are higher on them than they were even last year,
Yeah.
and I mean they were in the. I think they finished. I mean they finished top 25. So, um, anyway, now to the juicy stuff, the controversial stuff. Let's start with your conference championship games slash winners. Who do you think is going to play in the conference championships, and who's going to win? Let's start with the SEC.
SEC, I've got Georgia and Texas, and I think Georgia's going to win. To be honest with you, this one this is tough for me because I don't like just taking the best two teams and putting them in the championship game and say, or two best teams on paper per se, like ranked. Georgia's got a really tough schedule. They play Clemson week 1. They're on the road at Bama. They're on the road at Texas, and they're on the road at Ole Miss. All four of those teams are going to be looking to make the playoff.
And they got Auburn at home. Don't forget that.
Oh
They
yeah,
got
when they
Auburn
beat
at
us by
home.
Auburn hasn't won there since like 2002 or
Reed.
2000. So
Yep.
I'm not worried about that. That's a automatic loss. See, but
No, Hugh
Texas
Freeze, man. Hugh
Texas has a
Freeze. The freeze warning.
Texas
Hey,
has a
we're
tough.
flipping players from Notre Dame, okay? When
He
you can
hasn't
flip
flipped.
players from Notre Dame, you're an elite recruiter.
He hasn't even flipped.
The offensive lineman did.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the 5-star quarterback.
No, he's still on the fence.
Yep. But Texas has a tough schedule as well. I just think that they'll be able to win. But so Georgia and Texas with Georgia winning, but I would not be surprised between these two teams if I picked one of these that wasn't going to be there over the other. It's Georgia
Yeah, yeah. I think
because they have
I'm
a
right there
tough
with you.
schedule. And if Georgia, and I'll tell you this, if Georgia isn't the team in there, it's Alabama. So, but Georgia and Texas in the SEC championship game, I've got Georgia winning, which would make them the number one team in the playoff. Who do you have?
I got Georgia and Texas as well. I think there's really no drop off in
Who's going to win?
Texas. Do it now.
Who do you think's going to win that game?
Oh, I think Georgia's gonna win.
Okay.
I think Georgia's gonna win. So I think we're step for step there. I think we've got Georgia winning over Texas. All right. ACC.
I got Florida State and Miami, an in-state rivalry. I don't I don't know what it is about Miami that I like so much. I just think that it's finally time for them to maybe win some games and make a push. So I got Florida State, Miami, and I've got Florida State winning that game. So I think that I think Clemson's going to mess up along the way and lose some games they're not supposed to. All of this is based on who I think will lose games in the conference, and that propels another team to take their spot. And I think Miami's going to win the games they need to win. Clemson's going to drop a couple, and that puts Florida State and Miami in the championship game. Both
I think
Miami's going to have 2 losses though.
it's gonna be Clemson and Florida State, and I got Clemson winning. I really think Clemson's gonna show out this year, and watch him prove me wrong. But I like Dabo Swinney. I think he's got the talent and he's got the roster he wants and needs, and I think he's gonna be successful. And so
I
I
like
think
Jake Klubnik as well. I think he'll do really well for them.
I think so. So I've
We'll
got
see.
Clemson and Florida State, and you've got Florida State and Miami.
Yeah, I got
Uh,
Florida State winning.
yeah, Florida State winning. I've got Clemson winning. Should be interesting. ACC, I think top four. You just move it, delete one, insert that one, delete that, and just move them around however you want to.
Yeah.
Big Ten. Who you got?
Ohio State and Oregon. I've got Ohio State winning. I like Will Howard coming in to play quarterback for them alongside Quinshon Judkins. I mean, I think this is going to be a really, really good offense. This is the best roster. Urban Meyer said it as well. This is the best roster they've had since Day's been there. And he's had some pretty good rosters. And they brought Caleb Downs in from Alabama to kind of head up that defense. So I think Ohio State's really is going to be really good. I think they're going to beat Oregon. This will be the second time they play. I think Oregon might beat them at the beginning of the year because they go on the road to Oregon, and then Ohio State gets them back in the Big Ten championship game. But watch out, that is going to be a crazy good game. And if Ohio State wins it, they're going to be the national championship favorites after that. Like people are going to be, they're already talking about them now. But if they can beat Oregon on the road, it's like week 3. Yeah, this is going to go crazy.
I think you're right. I've got Oregon, Ohio State as well. I've got Oregon winning. I think Ryan Day is at the end of his rope. But you were talking about all the players they brought in: Quinshon Judkins and Caleb Downs, pretty established in their programs. It's not they didn't leave because of playing time. They didn't leave because of winning, because both their teams are winning, and especially with this playoff format expanding, both of those teams will probably make the playoff. So it comes down to money. Ryan Day asked for $15 million. his donors brought him $21 million, and he has paid every single one of those players. It's the climate we live in. I'm not complaining about doing it. I'm just saying that's the reason they all come in. But I've got Oregon winning. I think Oregon is going to be more consistent than Ohio State. Ohio State is an emotional roller coaster with Ryan Day there. I think Oregon is going to be calm, cool, and collected. I think they're going to come out, and I think they're going to win, especially at first of the year going out west. I think Oregon wins that game out west. And when they come back east to play the conference championship game, I'd be surprised if Oregon doesn't take it to them again.
I just want to say that Oregon couldn't handle Washington both games last year. I don't
Learning experience. See, that's the thing. Dan Lanning comes from the Nick Saban / Kirby Smart learning tree. Coaching tree is both. I think he learns from those games, and they come out bigger, better, and better. I think the defense will be better this year because Dan Lanning is going to bolster that defense because he learned last year he's going to have to keep up with teams like Washington was last year. And I think he does that because there's too much drama around Ohio State. I hope they prove me wrong. I mean, I'm not rooting for Ohio State to lose necessarily, but I think they're a drama factory right now, and I don't think they're going to keep it together long enough to win and even make the top 4 of the playoff. I just don't think it will happen.
Well, you say learning experience. Dan Lanning, year 1, played Oregon State on the road in Corvallis. Goes for it on 4th down from like his own 30-yard line, and they score a touchdown. All he had to do was punt, and let his defense had been getting stops all night long, and it turns into a touchdown for Oregon State. Oregon State beats them on the road. That's his biggest game. That's the biggest rivalry game he's got. He blew it. Then he made multiple coaching decisions in these Washington games that really hurt him. I think the way he coaches, I think he's a really good coach. I think he can get it. I think he gets the job done. I think he's the top 5 coach in the whole in college football. But I just think things that happen during the game for Oregon, if he can't win a national championship, or if he can't win a big ACC or Pac-12 championship with Bo Nix as your quarterback, I don't think he's going to win the Big Ten championship with Dylan Gabriel as his quarterback.
I disagree, but I think if he could stop relying on analytics, that's the thing. Is if he could stop relying on analytics, because that's what all those decisions sounds like, analytics. And these people, Hugh Freeze, it is. Hugh Freeze has an analytics coach. His job is to stand there with a binder full of the analysis of what to do, the analytics. Okay, 4th and 2 from the right hash at the opponent 32-yard line, wind blowing at 10 miles an hour. The quarterback has to lick his finger 4 times and say "hut" 3 times, and if he does all those things, he's got a 60% chance of making it. What they're forgetting is the human aspect of things, the players you got. And so I'm interested to see Big 12. Who do you got?
I got Utah and Kansas State.
Utah, Kansas State. Wow.
Yeah, and Utah's winning.
I've got Utah winning as well.
Who do you have against?
Oklahoma State.
I like that. Yeah, I'm going with Kansas State again. I didn't want to. I mean, they've got good odds to be in that Big 12 championship game. I just wanted to go with a team that nobody's talking about that I think could. They're usually towards the top of that conference. Just with Oklahoma and Texas always there, nobody really talks about them. So I like Kansas State to be there. But Utah's winning. I don't think the Big 12 is going to be that good. So I mean, Kansas State could be there with 3 losses.
Very well could be. I think. I made the correlation while you were talking a few minutes ago. Why I mixed up Kansas State and TCU. Because Kansas State beat TCU in the Big 12 championship game. They're in the Big 12, right? Yeah. They beat them in the Big 12 championship game that year, and then TCU goes on to upset Michigan and then gets stomped by Georgia. Yeah. I mean, that was embarrassing. So, anyway, all right. So, those are the big, the Power 4 conferences. We got Georgia over Texas. I've got Georgia over Texas. You've got Georgia over Texas as well. I've got Clemson over Florida State. You've got Florida State over Miami. Big Ten, I've got, we both have Oregon and Ohio State in the game. I've got Oregon. You've got Ohio State. And in the Big 12, we both got Utah winning, but I've got them beating Oklahoma State. You've got them beating Kansas State. So we'll keep an eye on those stories, not the breaking stories, on those developments, and we'll keep this and we'll see what happens. All right. Final topic of today: uh, who makes the playoffs this year? 12. You're expanding to 12 teams. The top four seeds are automatic buys, and those are your Power Four conference champions. The fifth spot, I think, is guaranteed for a Group of Five team, and we'll talk about that. Something interesting: your first round games are played at the higher seed,
Mm-hmm.
at their home field, so that should be awesome. I think college football will show that it's the best playoff atmosphere in the country. Being at the home field, I think that will be awesome. If Auburn somehow miraculously hosts one within the next 2 years, we going, brother.
For
We
sure.
going.
For sure.
Uh, I will quit my job if I have to go. Brent, if you saw that, sorry. Not really. So who makes the playoffs? Who are your top? Let's go with the top four teams, and then we'll move on.
Okay, so I already gave you my conference championship champions, but I'll list them out like this. I think Georgia will be number one. I got Florida State at number two, Ohio State at number three, and Utah at number four.
Okay, I've got Georgia at 1, Oregon at 2, Clemson at 3, Utah at 4.
Okay.
So our 2 and 3 are different, but 1 and 4 are the same because our conference champions are the same. All right, so those are the top 4. Those are the ones who are getting the bye. Who do you have at number 5?
And that would be the group of five team.
That should be the group of 5 team.
So to break this down, there's five teams that I was looking at. It's kind of hard to choose right now, but John Summerall's at Tulane this year.
Yeah,
First year coming from Troy. I'm going to go Tulane, and I'm going to tell you why. They play Kansas State, and they play Oklahoma. I think they win one of those games, and I think the only loss is going to come to either Kansas State or Oklahoma. I think they're going to upset Kansas State or Oklahoma on the road. And so if they do that, and I think they win out, they're 11-1. And so I'll put Tulane at number 5 because I was thinking Boise State, but they play against Oregon. Texas San Antonio, UTSA plays Texas. Memphis plays FSU. I liked Memphis. I was thinking Liberty, but Liberty, like according to this right here, I would rather take Boise State or UTSA losing to Oregon and Texas, and that be their one loss. I would rather take them than I would Liberty with undefeated with their schedule because they don't play nobody.
yeah, based on
But,
strength of schedule. That's understandable.
but as we sit
Uh,
here, I'll go Tulane at number 5.
Tulane. Um, I listen to a lot of podcasts throughout the week while I'm working in my office on different things, and a lot of them are sports podcasts. And one of the ones, I would say one of them, multiple have Memphis. Everybody's high on Memphis. I think Memphis is going to have this high-powered offense. I think, and then their defense is going to be able to get enough stops. I don't think they're going to stop everybody, but I think they're going to have enough stops. And so I put Memphis in, but I'm right there with you. It was tough. I think Tulane. Tulane was good last year, and you add Summerall to it. I think Summerall is good coach. He's a good coach. I'm bitter he left Troy. I don't know why, but I am. I think I think Tulane could be right there in there, but I think Memphis has the best shot of going.
Yeah, it's kind of
Who do you
tough.
have it? Go ahead.
It's kind of tough because, to be honest with you, I'm not that like confident that Tulane will be there. That's just my pick. That's who I like. So it's kind of tough. But I would love to see Tulane in the playoff. Summerall's first year at Tulane. They've got a good squad coming back. They've added some transfers. He's recruiting really well there as well. So I think that even if they're not here now, down the road you'll see Tulane in the playoff before long.
I think so. Number 6, I've got Texas.
6, I've got Oregon.
Wow,
No, Texas. Texas.
Texas. Okay.
Yeah, Texas. Yeah,
All right. So first 6, we've got Georgia. Who do you have at 2?
Florida State.
Florida State. And then you've got Ohio State at 3. And Utah at 4. Tulane at 5. And Texas at 6.
Yeah.
All right. Just keeping this for my records. Number 7, I got Florida State.
Alabama.
Wow. Alabama at number 7. Okay. Number 8, I've got Miami.
Oregon.
Oregon. For some, I know people are probably thinking, well, he was dogging Miami. Why is he putting Miami in? I think Miami's not going to win the conference. I think they'll be good enough to make the playoff. I think they're going to win enough games to make the playoff. They might be able to sneak in with 1 or 2 losses, with those losses being to teams like Clemson and maybe one other one. I think they'll be good enough to
All right.
make the
I'm
playoff.
going to make a correction real quick. So when I listed this out, I put my group of 5 team at the bottom and
Okay.
not at the fifth spot. So how I actually have it, it's UGA, FSU, Ohio State, Utah, and then Tulane, and then Texas, and then Oregon. So technically, Oregon is at 7,
Okay.
and then Alabama's at 8. Because I have it numbered wrong on my paper because I forgot that the group of 5 team automatically is number 5.
Okay, so you have Oregon at 7.
Yeah, Oregon at 7, Bama at 8.
Okay. I'll switch those real quick. Oregon at 7, Bama at 8.
Yep.
Okay, so say Florida State gets into the playoff, and they're not a top 5 team. Do you think the fans would complain again?
I mean, if they don't win their conference championship, they'll be in the top 10.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, they'd probably be at 6
I'm
or
just
7.
tired of the complaining. I really am. It's over. It's a whole new year. Get over it. You'll probably make the playoff again. Root for your team. Quit complaining. I mean, even with the firing of RG3 this year, everybody's like, they're still trying to screw over Florida State because
Yep.
he was a big defender of Florida State. Yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
He didn't get fired because of his defense of Florida State. He got fired because of his actions at the Olympics.
Yeah, he's
I guarantee you that's why. Oh, it's staffing and budget and blah, 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 blah. No, it's because of what he said about the lady or whatever at the Olympics and some of his actions. I mean, he's too loose of a cannon. And then people are going to be like, well, what about Pat McAfee? Pat McAfee's bringing in millions of dollars. RG3 ain't.
No.
Money talks. RG3, not talking to ESPN anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's besides the point. Just wanted to get that rant out there. Number 9, I've got NC State.
Ole Miss.
And honestly, I struggle to put them this low. Oh,
Yeah.
you got Ole Miss? I completely
Yeah.
forgot about Ole Miss.
I'm just, I don't know. I think the SEC is just going to get so many teams in.
Yeah. I've got them at number 10. I'm going to erase who I had at number 10 and put Ole Miss at number 10.
Who'd you have at 10?
Iowa.
No
I was
way.
just trying to be fair, but I'm going to put Ole Miss there. Who do you have at 10?
10? Miami.
Miami at 10. All right.
Yeah, because I told you that I think that they have a chance of having multiple losses when they play Florida State. So if they have one, I think Bama and Ole Miss will be ranked ahead of them.
I could see that. Number 11, I have LSU.
Number 11, Clemson.
Clemson. All right.
Yeah, you got LSU in there, I see. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be in. I think they'll be gritty enough to get in and mix it up. I think they'll finish top 4 of the SEC. Only loss coming to Auburn. I don't even know if we play them this year, but
We don't.
thank goodness. Number 12. I went very generous here, but you go first.
Missouri.
Missouri. Nice. I don't think they get in.
I think a group of 5 team could take that last spot, though, to be honest with you.
I put Boise State at number 12.
I could probably.
I think they give the 12th spot to a group of 5 team, and the 12th or 11th spot to the group of 5 team.
Yeah, I think that would be Memphis. If I had another group of 5 team, I would throw Memphis in there, and I could even interchange them and say Memphis could be 5 and Tulane could be 12. So if there's 2 group of 5 teams, I would say Memphis and Tulane, but I've got Missouri at 12.
Missouri at 12. I'm going to look up something real quick to make sure I'm good. I want to make sure that I'm solid on the group of 5 being the 5th seed. All right, I want to make a slight correction. The group of 5 team will not be the automatic 5th seed. I just looked it up and we cut it out. But I looked it up and the group of 5 team will not be the automatic 5th seed. If they're ranked number 5, then they will be the 5th seed. It's wherever they are ranked is where they'll be put. And if they're outside the top 12, they'll be put at number 12. So I want to make that slight correction. So that might change our top 12 a little bit, but I really think Utah could be in the top or not Utah, Memphis could be in the top, 6 or 7.
Well, for
So
me, if it's that way, then all you do is just move everybody up on mine and put Tulane at 12. Like it's not that big a deal because that's how I had it. I had Tulane at 12, and
Tulane at
then
12.
1 through 11. And so
I
since
think
you,
I'm I think I'm right there with you. Take Memphis out, put them at 12, and move everybody up a slot. And I might
yeah,
add, let's see, who else could I add in there? Let me go back over here. Yeah, you could throw in. I think I'll throw in Missouri there. I
I
think
thought
I'll
you
throw in
said Missouri
Missouri
wasn't
at.
gonna make it.
Huh?
You just said Missouri wasn't gonna make it. You said I don't. I said Missouri. You go. I don't think. I
Well,
don't
that's
think.
because I thought the group of 5 team was going to be at the top 5, and I was going to be generous. I was just playing to the crowd to put group of 5 in at 12. Um, but if they're already going to be at 12, then
Yeah, it don't matter.
it don't matter. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Um, so just to recap, I've got Georgia, Oregon, Clemson, Utah, Texas, Florida State, Miami, NC State, Ole Miss, LSU, Missouri, and Memphis. And then I've got Georgia winning the SEC over Texas. ACC, I've got Clemson winning over Florida State. Big Ten, I've got Oregon over Ohio State. And Big 12, I've got Utah over Oklahoma State. What do you have, just to run it down real quick?
My SEC champion is UGA over Texas, so I got Georgia. Big Ten, Ohio State over Oregon. Big 12, Utah over Kansas State. ACC, Florida State over Miami. My top 12 teams, Georgia, Florida State, Ohio State, Utah is the top 4. Then I got Texas, Oregon, Alabama, Ole Miss, Miami, Clemson, Missouri, Tulane. And that's my
Not
top
bad.
12.
Not a bad list. I'm going to jump out in front of it. People are going to be mad I don't have Alabama in the top 12. I've already given my comments on that. It's a prove it year for me, and I don't think they make it. So anyway, thanks for watching. We appreciate your viewership. Please like, comment. It'll help us out. Hope to have it out on Spotify this week. We'll be working on that. I start school this week, so we may not be able to get it out this week, but it will be putting it on Spotify here within the next week or two, so you can watch it or you listen to it without having to watch our ugly faces. It's probably preferable anyway. Um, so appreciate you guys watching. Please like and subscribe, comment. Don't be afraid to comment, interact with us. We'll respond if it's a comment worth responding to, or if I look at it, if I see that you actually commented. We'll comment. We'll interact with you guys. So appreciate it. Eli, anything you want to say at
Yeah.
the end?
Send us, like, if you have our phone numbers or even in the comment section, put your predictions down there. Let us read them. We can look at them, talk about them if you want to. Text them to us, comment on them. Tell us what your opinions are. We want to know what your opinions are. I'll take them into consideration. He may not, but yeah,
I'll just
and
tell you how wrong you are.
we'll start doing some picks here as the season gets going. Next episode, we'll throw some picks in there. Also, we want y'all to send, like, if you see it and you want to comment on it, hey, send us your picks too. That would be awesome. See what you got. We could keep a record of them if you want to, and see like who won, like who had the best record out of everybody that sent them to us as the year goes on. So we'd love for y'all to like interact with us, comment your favorites, tell us who's going to win the national championship, anything like that. That would be fun. But other than that, I appreciate y'all watching. Stick with us. Hopefully, y'all are having a good time.
Yeah. Follow us on X, Miller Brothers, Miller Bros underscore pod, Miller Bros underscore pod on X/Twitter. Follow us there. We'll be posting a lot more here as we get into the season. Might throw a couple polls in there to see who's going to win, who's going to lose, who's where. So that'll be a good place to interact with us. Comment. Tell us if you disagree or not. All right, guys. Appreciate you watching. Remember, every Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Central Time. We're going to move an hour later, just in case I'm not able to get done editing on Sunday, or give me a little extra time on Monday. So 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Central Time. Be looking for it on Spotify. We'll send out a big announcement when it's on Spotify. We'll probably go ahead and post the first 4 episodes. We won't do them, delayed. Well, you'll be able to go in and listen to all 4 or 5 of them, whatever we can get it done. So please, just stay tuned. Thank you for watching. Last episode was pretty good. Eli, you still haven't apologized to me for taking that last shot. I'm still bitter about it. But hey, you were wrong about women's Olympics basketball. So we'll end it on that.
They
See you
still
later.
won.
They still won, but I told you it was going to be by one on a buzzer beater, and I
Well,
was
they
right.
didn't win because of the buzzer beater, though. She just didn't hit a
They
three.
did. They still technically won because her foot was on the line. You were wrong. I was right, and I'm going to be right about college football as well. Uh, so I mean, more right than you. Put it that way. Be more of that right than you. So, anyway, appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you next week.